Afternoon, everyone. Please remain standing while the Mayor's Chaplain offers prayers.
Before I start, could I just ask you to remember Honorary Alderman Pauline Brown, who had a fall this morning, and Councillor Pat Vorty, who's in hospital. So let us give thanks to God for the service that Councillor Phil Crowe has been given during his year as Mayor of the City of Preston. May his remaining weeks in that office be as fruitful as the last 11 months or so have been. And I also give thanks to him for the privilege and honour of being his chaplain. And I thank you, the city councillors and the officers of the city, who have been present at these meetings, for the courtesy that you have shown me whilst I've led prayers. This has been a humbling experience, and I thank you for it. But in the life of Christians, we are about to begin the most important events in the Christian calendar. We read in Scripture, during supper, when the devil had already put it into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he'd come from God and was going back to God, rose from supper. He laid aside his outer garments, and taking a towel, tied it round his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped round him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, do you wash my feet?" Jesus answered him, "What I am doing you do not understand now, but afterwards you will understand." Peter said to him, "You shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "If I do not wash you, you have no share with me." Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." Jesus said to him, "The one who has bathed does not need to wash, except for his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not every one of you." For he knew who was to betray him. That was why he said, "Not all of you are clean." When he'd washed their feet and put on his outer garments and resumed his place, he said to them, "Do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you also should do just as I have done to you." Amen.
Can you all sit down, please? I'd just like to say thanks very much to the Reverend Chris Barwise for my year in office and coming along. I remember one time he gets a lift with me. He doesn't live so far from me. And we were sat in the chamber and people were coming in and out. "Oh, we're changing this motion. What's this?" and all that. And he hadn't ever thought about what goes on in the parlour. But thank you very much, Chris. Much appreciated. Thank you. Now we're going to crack on with this meeting, okay? Item 1, Mayor's announcements. There are no plans for a fire alarm test. If you hear the alarm, please leave the building by the nearest exit. Please ensure mobile phones are switched off or on silent. Restrooms are located on all floors, but please ask a member of staff for details should you require one. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and will eventually be loaded onto the council's YouTube channel. Can I please remind all members that whilst we can disagree politically, please remain respectful to each other whilst dealing with council business. Now, members of the public, members and officers, you're reminded that under the Openness of Local Government Bodies Regulations 2014, the press and public may film, audio record, photograph and use social media whilst the meeting is in progress for Part A items only. And as long as no disruption is caused to the meeting, anyone filming is asked to focus their attention on elected members rather than other visitors. Now, depending how we progress today. I may adjourn to take a short comfort break, but we will see how we proceed. Good luck canvassing. Who put that in? Oh, sorry. Good luck canvassing. Church service. My civic service is on Sunday, the 11th of May at 12 noon. It'll only last about 45, 50 minutes. It's in a St. Wilfrid's. St. Wilfrid's. That's the Lamb of St. Wilfrid's on the coat of arms of Preston. It's a beautiful building inside, even if you don't go to church. Don't be scared by going in a church. Please try and make it 12 noon, 12. It won't be too long because I'm then off to Blackburn Cathedral on that day. You get your robes at the town hall from 10:30, by the way. Okay, on that day. Many as you can, come along, please. Bring your family. My mother sang in the choir at St. Wilfrid's for 17 years, and my mother and father got married there. So it's a lot of significance to me as well as Preston. Item 2. Are there any declarations of interest? Can members indicate if they have any declarations? None, thank you. Item 3. Minutes of the last meeting of council held on the 6th of March. Are members happy that I signed the minutes as a correct record? Thank you, Councillor Iqbal. Item 4. Questions of members of the public. Item 4 is there are no questions at this meeting. Item 5. Questions of cabinet members and chairs of committees and representatives of outside bodies. You can ask a question. Just show your hands and we'll get the names down. No paper. Councillor Whittam, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a question for Cabinet Member Councillor Wise. Back in January, I think it was reported on social media that you met with the Preston Heritage Society and other interested parties about the issues that were ongoing with listed buildings and buildings of interest within the city of Preston. Interest in that specific issue is increasing exponentially, and I think it's fair to say that opinion is hardening out there about what's happened to some of our iconic buildings, and that obviously following the fires last year. We've lost St Joseph's Orphanage. We've got recent reports about Edith Rigby House, and I appreciate that it may not be specific to damage, it could be to rough sleeping, but equally that is an iconic building that Preston cannot allow to deteriorate. Got Daniel's Farm at Broughton, the oldest cottage in Broughton, which I don't know the name of the farm cottage, which has been demolished recently, which should not have happened. And I know that council has taken enforcement action. There's the old post office. There's many, many more. We've got a lot of buildings that is part of Preston's heritage. Now, there was talk in the social media article that I read about interested groups, police, local council, etc., getting involved. You will recall that we put into the budget amendment earlier this year a full-time heritage officer, which was defeated. I get that. And you're getting heritage support, as I understand it, on an as and when basis. I personally think that's probably a mistake and we need something more permanent. The question I've got is, because the social media article talks about you looking at taking enforcement action. I appreciate these buildings are largely in private ownership, but have you taken any enforcement action to date? And what assurances can you give the council, the people of Preston, that we won't be facing similar issues to St Joseph's, to some of the other iconic buildings? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Whittam, for that question. It is something that we are all really concerned about, and you're quite right. I did attend that public meeting. What's happened since then is we've got a task group that's like an officer, a member group, and we've also got a group in which people from external representatives from the heritage groups are actually coming. So we've had the first meeting of that group, and we've also had several meetings with officers. We've also, I attended a meeting of officers and external legal advisors, who obviously, if we are taking enforcement action, can be giving us the appropriate advice. I can't quite remember whether we've taken any enforcement action or not, but I will certainly let you know if we have. But we share your concern, and I know, because I had my meeting with Chris Hayward yesterday, I think it was yesterday, where we discussed the fact that there's been several entries by people into, one of them was into College House, i.e. where Edith Rigby lived, and I forgot where else there was, but there was somewhere else. There was somewhere on Avenham Street, and we are really concerned about that. And we are aware that one of the people that is a youngster who is actually entering the buildings, and so I know that officers have been in contact with social services, because I understand that that young person is actually in care. But obviously we are concerned about that, not only from the point of view of the damage that is being done, but also from a safety perspective, because it isn't always safe, you know, what they're doing and when they're going on the roof and whatever. So I'm certainly happy to give you further information in writing, but I have my memory refreshed on what we've actually done. Okay, thank you.
You have a supplementary, councillor?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Van Mierlo, please.
Thank you. My question again is to Councillor Wise. I'd like to thank you for moving forward with the White Ribbon project, and I think that's a fantastic thing to do. And I think 100% we need to be proactive in stopping the violence against women. And I don't know if you've looked at the statistics, but they're awful. 9 in 10 girls have experienced sexist name calling before the age of 16. And I think most of us women have all experienced it. So my question to you is, what response have you had from fellow councillors in supporting this project? And have many of them undertaken the training?
Thank you for the question. I will say I want to pay credit also to Councillor Hindle, because it was with Councillor Hindle and on the Women's Safety Group that we actually were pursuing the whole question of accreditation by the White Ribbon organisation. And I absolutely agree with you. You know, it was actually the previous government, but the current government also feels the same, that there is like an endemic of violence against women and girls, and it is on a par with terrorism and serious violence. And so it is really important that action is taken. And I think all of us in our role as local authority councillors can actually play a role. I'll give you in writing the numbers, but I can tell you a lot of councillors have undertaken the training. But I will be writing to anybody who hasn't to remind them and give them the link again, because it's important that we have men undertaking the training and you undertake the ambassador training, because it is important that men can give a lead to other young men. We need to be countering the Andrew Tates of this world, who are actually teaching our young men a lot of things that are absolutely horrendous. And, you know, I've said previously, I've been campaigning on this issue for like 40 odd years. And I feel that we actually aren't making the progress that we should be making. And in fact, we're going back because some of the attitudes of young men and boys are absolutely horrendous in terms of what they think. I also recognise that within the chamber, there will be some women here who have been themselves experienced domestic abuse. And there is possibility some people who here who are perpetrators. And I hope if any of you have been perpetrators that you will actually think about the issue and think that this isn't the way forward. But I do urge everybody to, who hasn't already completed the training, to complete it. So, but I will let you know how many councillors have actually so far completed it. Thank you.
Do you have a supplementary, councillor? Well, councillor Brooks, please.
Hello, well, my question again is to Councillor Wise, so she's very much in the hot spot. I'm just wondering, Councillor Wise, if you could please give us an update on the bank and how it's going.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Brooks. Obviously, this is a highly contentious issue within this chamber, and I know features on certain people's election addresses and whatever. But on this side, we see the bank as a really positive way forward. And I'm pleased to report that the bank have had their first official meeting with the regulators, which went really, really well. In fact, they were asked if they want to go on the fast track of 6 months. They did decline that because obviously they've got to ensure that they've actually achieved all the income that they require. But so they've had the first official meeting, and it was a 2-hour meeting, and it gave them the bank an opportunity to give an overview of the business and the business plan. The regulators used the initial meeting to detail any potential showstoppers based upon what the bank had supplied, and I have to say the regulators didn't have any issues, so that was really positive. And so the regulators seem to be receptive to the overall plan. They're going to write imminently to the bank with any further details, but that'll probably, with their feedback, but that'll probably now be after Easter. And they'll then incorporate into their first draft of the official regulatory business plan whatever the feedback is, and then submit it and arrange the next session with the regulators, which is likely to be towards the end of May. They've had a session with the Lancashire Pension Fund and await feedback from them. And they've now employed some additional officers. They've now got a chief financial officer and a chief commercial officer. And their corporate financial specialist is continuing conversations with potential investors. And so, yeah, I mean, good progress is being made. And what they're very keen, and I've already had a discussion with the chief executive, is looking for somewhere appropriate to have their head office, because they're very anxious to make progress on that. So I'm happy to continue to update the council on the progress, but it's a really positive story. Thank you.
Councillor Brooks, you have a supplementary? Councillor Akhtar, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 2 questions, but the first one is to the cabinet member for environment and community safety. Small and medium-sized businesses are a really important part of the local economy here in our city. You know, and I know that times have been incredibly challenging for many of our small and medium-sized enterprises, particularly those in the leisure and food industry. And I know that the issue of charges for pavement, for having tables out on pavements and so forth came up. There was a question around the equity among some of the different businesses in the community. Could you give us an update on where we are with that, please? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor, for your question. I'll be honest, I know it's not the most sexy topic to speak about, but I will obviously give the Chamber an update on this. So I did previously give the Chamber an update about 9 months ago about pavement cafe licences. So the previously they were capped at £100 under the Business and Planning Act of 2020. Then last year's legislation then meant we could increase that price to £500 for initial applications and £350 for renewals. Obviously, we made the decision for the last financial year that we'd just keep it the same at £100 for renewals, and we'll just keep it the same for 1 year. We wanted to make it as easy as possible for businesses with that sort of last minute decision changed by the government. And obviously, when we said for this financial year, we'd then review that. So unfortunately, this isn't a report that goes to Cabinet or full council. It's just something that's signed by myself. But what we've recently done is, so the previous fee was £100 flat fee, and whatever business applied for that. Now, I did sort of feel like this is unfair on, say, smaller businesses, because, you could have a cafe that's putting out, say, just 2 tables and chairs, and they are charged the exact same price as, say, a large chain restaurant putting out, say, a number for 20 chairs. So therefore, in this new system that we've created for this financial year, it's a much fairer tiered system. So, for example, with areas up to 4-seated customers, the fees are £125. For 5 to 12-seated customers, £150, and then for over 12-seated customers, £175. So not only are our fees way below the maximum we could actually charge, but we've also made the system fairer. And to make things easy for business owners, we've actually kept the initial application and the renewal fee the same, just to, again, make it more straightforward and hassle-free for everyone involved. I also hope this will achieve our priority, because we need to encourage the culture of pavement cafes across the city, which make our city centre and obviously outside areas more vibrant and exciting. But at the same time, as well as encouraging this culture, we also need to be mindful about street furniture becoming a hazard to, say, people with disabilities or different access issues as well. So our officers will ensure that we find that right balance. So yeah, thank you very much for your question. I just thought the Chamber might want to hear an update on that. So thank you very much.
Do you have a supplementary, Councillor Akhtar? Councillor Natha?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moore Park's had a long tradition of the playing of cricket, as those of you probably remember. Many years, the Preston Cricket League was played there. Subsequently, there's been a sort of a high and low in terms of playing. But a couple of years ago, unfortunately, the AstroTurf wickets were damaged and vandalised, which was very sad for the population of Preston, but in particular the cricket community. So when I read the Cabinet report that was going to reinstate the cricket pitches, it was really, really good news. So I'm just asking the question of the Cabinet Member for Environment and Community Safety, Councillor Bailey, whether he agrees with that, and maybe update us on what the future plans are with the cricket in Moore Park. Thank you.
Yes, so thank you for your question. I think everyone must have seen it in the press. It was about 9 months ago when the 2 cricket wickets within a short space of 3 days were vandalised on Moore Park. Now, for anyone who drives down Garstang Road, whatever day of the week it is, whether it's in December and it's sunny, you'll see people out there playing cricket. Now, I'll be honest, Preston doesn't have a huge amount of, say, cricket clubs within the sort of size of the city. You just look at, say, South Ribble and Chorley, there's cricket clubs near enough everywhere. Whereas obviously we don't have a huge amount of them. So you can imagine why there's so much uproar, given how popular the cricket on Moore Park was, and obviously how often people play cricket there, and then considering the lack of facilities in Preston for cricket. So I can fully understand why there's that big outcry of that. Obviously, when they were first vandalised, obviously I remember speaking with Mark and obviously other officers saying that we need to get a solution for this, because irrelevant of who's vandalised or what, real people are losing out on this fantastic facility. Cricket is the 3rd most popular sport in the UK. I used to play cricket. I can't anymore because it literally takes up a full Saturday. Unfortunately, I can't do that anymore as much as I'd like to. So when and I'll pay tribute to Rob Lockham, who's obviously our Leisure and Development Officer. When I spoke to him, he obviously made us aware that the ECB, the English Cricket Board, has sort of match-funded projects, particularly Lancashire as well, on open spaces. So obviously that's why our plan was to start there, see if we can get some kind of match funding. And obviously when his work, and obviously with Mark and other other officers from from neighbourhood services, came back and said that the ECB will fund fully £36,000, not just to replace the 2 wickets at Moore Park, but also the one that's sort of been that's not been used for Haslam Park. We couldn't have expected a better result. So hopefully the contractors will be starting work on the 2 wickets at Moor Park very soon, and also Haslam Park as well. So hopefully when you're driving down Garstone Road, you'll be able to see people playing cricket at all hours of the day. So yeah, it's a really good news story. And yeah, and I think Councillor Akhtar pointed out when we discussed it in Labour group meetings about, you know, well, what if they get vandalised again? You rightly pointed out that we have to trust the public, but at the end of the day, they are so well used. And I think it's about 40 years they've not been vandalised once, apart from that one time last summer. So hopefully, you know, the communities will come together. We'll see an outburst of playing cricket on Moor Park and Haslam Park. So yeah, good news story all round. So yeah, thank you for your question.
You're not on my list, Councillor Kelly. You're not on my list. Have you a supplementary?
Just to say that I'd like to thank Councillor Bailey, and if you can pass the message on to the officers who've been involved, I'm aware that, you know, I've sort of engaged in that process as well to sort of develop the, sorry, just to say that I'd like to thank Councillor Bailey and the officers, if he can pass that message on as well, that they've engaged with the cricket community and for this positive outcome. So thank you very much for that.
Councillor Thompson, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is Councillor Rawlinson, sorry. Does the Supreme Court decision on the Equalities Act yesterday affect the council in any way?
It affects everyone, especially public bodies. The decision provides clarity on the definition of the word woman in the Equality Act, which means birth sex and nothing more. It's vital to secure safe spaces for women, female sports and all sex-based rights, and should inform all policy making going forward and end the harassment of those who stood by that all along.
You have a supplementary, Councillor?
No, Mr. Mayor, that was...
Oh, good. Thank you. Councillor Iqbal, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the council will know, we've announced a new shared prosperity programme for 25-26, linked to our labour policies and ambitions. Can Matthew, can Councillor Brown update the council on the work that's been done and when it's likely to start?
Thank you very much, Councillor Iqbal. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope it's okay. Yeah, we're very excited about this because the first shared prosperity round was very successful, and obviously we move forward towards a new round. Now the projects will begin within the next 2 weeks. So some highlights of what this council will be doing: we're going to have an extended events programme with events for VE Day, the Climate Festival, the Mellow, the Caribbean Carnival, and many more, benefiting from our investment through this fund. We're going to have a new community and volunteering service and continued support for the voluntary centre, supporting voluntary and community organisations across the city. But we'll also crucially be providing more support for organisations that provide food in our community. And under Councillor Carl, obviously, we've done lots of work to ensure that people can have access to affordable food. More investment in our parks through the Shared Prosperity Fund, with a focus on improving safety for park users. There's going to be more support for sport across the city, which will include cricket and baseball in city centre, Deepdale and Ashton. We're going to invest in delivering our ambitious youth strategy. We're also going to invest in support for the democratic economy, with a particular focus on worker cooperatives and ensuring the local economy supports and most vulnerable in playing an active part in the local economy. More support for green skills, and we'll also be undertaking even more tree planting and investment in community energy Preston, and support for young people who are struggling to find employment to get back into employment. So the point I'm trying to make here is, obviously this is shared prosperity funding, Council which has come from the government. However, what we're doing is we're ensuring that that funding is matching our values as a Labour council. So it's all going to things that we believe in. And it follows a highly successful first round of investment, which was delivered in the last couple of years, which has done things like, for example, improve 8 play areas and muggers across all our wards in the city. Thank you very much for the question.
You have a supplementary? Councillor Saxena, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is to Councillor Rawlinson as Cabinet Member for Resources. I wonder if Councillor Rawlinson can give the Council an update on where we are with the local council tax support scheme. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Yes, so council tax bills have gone out for this year. For the first time since 2013, there's a whole section of Preston who will receive a demand for zero council tax, in fact. And ever since the coalition government cut £1 billion from council tax benefit all those years ago, we were forced to pass that on alongside many of the other cuts. But we're now in a position to reverse that. The timing is good. The cost of living is still high. And we're very pleased to help those people who clearly couldn't afford to pay council tax in the first place and should never have been doing so. So it will also help our council tax collection rates, because a lot of that money was just not collectible. So we're really pleased that that's happening.
You have a supplementary, Councillor Saxena?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, simply to thank you very much to Councillor Rawlinson for the initiative, and I do know some people for whom this is a definite lifeline. Thank you.
Councillor Acton, did you have another question? Are you sure?
Quite sure. It's actually a follow-up to the question that Councillor Saxena has just asked of the Cabinet Member for Resources, and particularly in relation to the people with disabilities. We know that that's been a particular focus and a concern to many of us in our community and the residents that we have and we represent. Councillor Rawlinson, what can we, I know national picture being what it is, what can we do locally? What are we doing locally to support disabled people, whether it's through council tax or community projects and so forth? What assurances can we give our community that we're on their side? Thanks.
I'm worried about the worry that this is causing to people, and whether that was really necessary. I think we would all do welfare a different way if we were asked, and reform welfare in some ways, but the way the message has gone out wasn't helpful. I think this council has been doing a vast amount of things to help people on low incomes, disabled people, people having difficulty with public sector cuts, and now the cost of living crisis through COVID and everything. We've had a whole host of schemes, and we continue to have lots of things going on to help people. We've got a page on the website, Helping Preston. There's loads of stuff on there. There's help. We support community groups to help their communities. We still have an advice services, which a lot of councils don't have. We've administered household support scheme funds for a number of years now, and passed on all the COVID money, and we've done so much stuff on this, and we will continue to do that. There certainly won't be any cuts to that provision from this council, and people do need to turn to us and to the local community groups and charities for help if they need it. That's the key. They've got to talk to us, and that's always been the key. Anyone struggling with any debts, council tax or whatever it is, they've got to talk to us or talk to advice services or charities, and there is lots of help out there.
Have a supplementary, Councillor Acton. Anyone else got a question? Yes, Councillor Green.
Sorry, it's quick. I think it's probably for Councillor Coupland, maybe. So I was speaking with a resident this week about the PIP action campaign regarding the dangerous breast implants from a few years ago. And she was just asking about basically if there's anything that's being raised about it around here. It starts the campaign in Parliament next week, so I know obviously it's a national issue being addressed. I was just wondering if us as a council has highlighted the issue at all, and if not, if it is something we could bring a bit of light on to potentially help other people out there who don't know about the campaign that's going to start kicking off. Thank you.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yep, the main question was basically, I was wondering if us as a council has highlighted the issue of the PIP action campaign, and if not, is it something we could perhaps shine a light on? Thank you. No, it was about the dangerous breast implants from a couple of years ago. A lady was saying there's a campaign that starts off next week in Parliament, but she hadn't heard anything really locally about it. I don't know if anyone else remembers it from a few years ago, but the implants were kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
And a lot of ladies had to go and get checked out in case they were going to potentially cause an issue to their health. So she was wondering if there's anything we could highlight on that, basically.
I'm aware of the campaign, but at this moment in time, it's not something that we've addressed, but I'm sure that we will take it forward in our health and wellbeing partnership. So I will come back to you on that. Thank you.
No supplementary, councillor Green? Sorry. Item 6, next. Item 6 is a report on the acceptance of the Household Support Fund and Affordable Warmth Scheme 2025-2026. An alteration to the report has also been published. Councillor Khan, are you moving this report with the alteration?
Yes, I am, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this is acceptance of the Household Support Fund and the Affordable Warmth Scheme for 25-26. It's round 7. However, the amendment is that, if I could just firstly say that the total amount of money that's been passported onto LCC, Lancashire County Council, is 17 million for the different districts, for the various districts, which is 2 million less than what we've had before. What we are receiving of that is over 1 million for 25-26 and about 455,000 up to June 25. And 119,000 of that will be spent on administration costs for Preston itself. The affordable warmth element of it has not been included this time, so that may be the case that the 2 million that's been reduced. However, County Council is saying that they've not yet made a decision as whether that's going to be included going forward after June. But they are reviewing at the moment all the vulnerable cohort of people that have been supported and whether that's going to be brought in-house into county for them to offer support through the various services that they have. So the council is asked to accept the funding, approve the revenue budget increase of 1 million for 25-26, and also the 119,000 of the HSF to employ a staff member to administer the HSF scheme until 31st of March 2026. Thank you. That is the report.
Thank you, councillor. Any questions? Go to the vote. All in favour of the report? Oh, sorry, hang on. Just have we got a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Brown. All in favour, please show. Thank you. All against? All abstentions? Item 7 is the White Ribbon Accreditation Application Report. Councillor Bailey, are you moving this report?
I am doing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the report proposes that Preston City Council applies for accreditations as a white ribbon organisation, which is a framework for addressing and responding to violence against women and girls, support the work of the Women's Safety Steering Group, and delegate the authority to the Deputy Chief Executive to apply for accreditation and develop the necessary action plans. So violence against women and girls is a significant issue that faces our city. A women's safety group, a women's safety working group has been established to address various issues impacting women's safety, such as highlighting street lighting, licensing, CCTV coverage, and bystander training. The council has also invested in improving support for women and girls who are sexually exploited or vulnerable, working with the Red Umbrella project. White Ribbon Accreditation would demonstrate this council's commitment to preventing harassment, abuse and violence against women and girls by promoting gender equality, raising awareness and involving men in the solution. We want to work with White Ribbon to develop and deliver a transformative action plan over the next 3 years. The cost for this accreditation would be £490, which obviously can be covered within existing budgets. Accreditation would enable the council to communicate its commitment to positive change and bring about gender equality and demonstrate ongoing efforts to prevent men's violence against women. So obviously, as Councillor Wise also pointed out in the previous question under a previous item, unfortunately, this is on the rise, unfortunately. And obviously, I think this is the right time that we need to do this. I think there's always a right time to do it, but I think now there is a real need to do this. So hopefully we can join hands across the chamber and approve this report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Is the report seconded? Thank you, Councillor Wise.
Speak.
To speak?
Yeah, please. Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Bailey. And I just want to pay credit also to the Deputy Chief Executive for the work that she's done on this. And what's really, I think, good is that we are going to be having an action plan, which obviously is actions for us as a council, but we're also working with some other external bodies so that we're going to try and see if we can have a citywide action plan involving other organisations, because the more we come together, the more effective we can be in tackling this issue. So I just wanted to add that to what I said. And also, one of the things that Councillor Bailey hasn't mentioned is that one of the, and what was in the budget was that we are supporting the Red Umbrella campaign, and will be that I think is going to be worked with, I've forgotten the name of the group, but also with the Foxton Centre, and we'll be working with women. We've had a meeting with the Chief Executive of the Police and Crimes Commissioner, and she was very impressed by the actions that are being taken by the city. And that again wasn't just us, it was other organisations that are involved in this work. So I just think it is really, I'm really pleased that we're doing it, and look forward to, you know, bringing forward our action plan and also how we're making progress in terms of delivering the action plan. So thank you.
Councillor Brown.
Yeah, I just want to echo many of the comments that have come forward. I mean, I'm really privileged and delighted that we're taking this forward. I mean, our council has been very serious around the equalities agenda at every single level, and this is another example of how we're supporting it going forward. But what is really good about this is how it is actually aimed at men as well, because I've seen quite a powerful series of documentaries that, you know, if say a young child and young adult is brought up in a household where there's domestic abuse, then there's much more of a chance they will become an abuser as well. So having to work with men, trying to educate them about behaviours, appropriate behaviours, and that any kind of abuse against women is completely unacceptable. You know, this is very much a part of what we're doing, and this is very much a part of what we've got to do, and this is a collective responsibility. And I think it's also a societal issue. The values that we have often as a society in this country, we celebrated for a long time, it's not necessarily feminine values, it's aggressive male-dominated values about getting on, being competitive, not about cooperation or compassion or empathy. You know, so we need more feminine values within society. So I mean, I want to pay tribute to everyone who's been involved in this, especially the women within my group and also beyond, because I know there's been others that have taken part in the training and shown an interest. And I think it needs to be very much a women-led conversation. It's not for men to talk about what women feel when they go through any kind of abuse, whether it's emotional, sexual or physical. It's for women to talk about it, and I think for women to lead the way on this. So I'm delighted we're doing this, and I'm also delighted there's reference to licensed sex venues within the city. I mean, there's a question mark in this day and age, do we need them? Because there is a evidence base that having sex venues does lead to sexual assaults on our streets, especially when young men have been tanked up and had quite a few beers. You know, I'm glad to see that there's that's been looked at as well. So I just think this is brilliant we're doing it. I think it's part of a wider conversation that we've had as a Labour Council about having a really strong equality agenda, whether it's around protecting women, ethnic minorities, disabled people, younger old people and the rest. So congratulations to everyone involved in this and everyone who's spoken, and I look forward to taking this forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else wish to comment on this report? We'll go to the vote then. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Any abstentions? Anyone against? Thank you. Item 8 is a report on the Members' Allowance Scheme 2025-2026. Councillor Rawlinson, will you be moving this report?
Thank you. Obviously, Labour Group discussed this. We do like to just nod this through if possible, because many councillors are uncomfortable setting their own allowances. If we take the recommendations of the independent panel, then we're not really setting them, we're just accepting the advice of an independent panel. And that is what we've been doing, I think, for a number of years, maybe with the odd exception. But on this occasion, we are going to accept the report, but with the exception of the reduction in the member champion allowance. We accept the panel's comments about the reporting, and we will try and fix that. But the member champions do report to Labour Group. We know they're doing a lot of work on those subject matters. They work hard on them as much as they can. It is, you know, it is a small allowance for a subject of interest for that member, and they do a lot of work on it. So we are accepting the report with the exception of the reduction in the member champions allowance, because they don't deserve to be cut.
Thank you. Is this report seconded? Thank you, Councillor Wise. Councillor Potter, do you wish to come in?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I begin, can I just pay my thanks to all council staff for looking after Pauline after we've had this fall this morning. I really appreciate everyone from down in reception, everyone who got Pauline stable and ready for the ambulance to take her away. So can you just pass on our thanks as a group, and I'm sure on behalf of the whole chamber, and wish Pauline a speedy recovery. Yeah, so we had a discussion about this beforehand, and it's interesting listening to what Martin just said there, because he said they report to the Labour Group, fine. They deserve it, fine. It's not Labour's money, it's public money. They have a duty. They're not asking a lot, the Independent Remuneration Panel. They're just asking for a report on what they've done over the year. And for it not to be done looks ridiculous. And we've always had a philosophy. For a long time, we abstained on this, and then we thought, well, we couldn't do that if we were in power, so we'd have to just do it. And our rule is that if anyone tries to mess with the remuneration panel's guidelines, we would vote against it, because what's the point in having an independent panel if you don't adhere to it? And what you guys could do is accept that you've messed up, because you've clearly messed up. The report says so. You could have easily produced those reports, but you haven't. Accept your pain this time, fix it, and then ask them next year to up your allowances again in light of the fact you've done your work. But you haven't, so that's your justification. I don't believe it's appropriate, because it's public money, and you report to the public, not just to your own party. So my group will be voting against this because you've messed around with the report.
Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thought I might as well have a say. I'm going to go along with Councillor Rawlinson here. I don't see a problem with this. We are answerable to the electorate at the end of the day, and that's who we're responsible to, and our respective parties that sponsor us, that check us out, that approve our candidature, and then the electorate vote for us. It's an advisory panel. It's not a court or anything else to judge it by. It's an advisory panel, and I'm happy to go along with the Labour's position on this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Just curious with Councillor Thompson, so are you happy as a member representing the public that you haven't had a report, that it's gone to the Preston Group, not your residents and not yourself?
Hang on. No, we're talking about this report. We're not having a discussion between each other in the chamber. Not in my chamber anyhow. And I'm enjoying my time here, all right? Councillor Brown, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we had a debate within Labour Group, as you can imagine. I think what we are struggling with this, and the reason we took the decision we did, is a lack of information. There's a confusion we have, because my understanding is it's not the remit of any body that sets recommendations to us around levels of allowances to give daily reports about what each person does and doesn't do, because there are probably 20 odd people in this chamber which have some kind of extra responsibility. So that was where the confusion came in. And then from that, we've now had this situation where there's a suggestion that it's reduced. So I think a big part of what we're trying to do, Mr. Mayor, is we're trying to get to a situation where we're trying to understand at a future date by writing, I'll be writing to the panel, why they've actually gone around this course of action, because it's very unusual, A, that they make reductions, but B, they ask for information in terms of give reports of what each member champion does. So I think we need to have a conversation with them, and we can look at it again further down the line, but at the moment we want to take this position. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Wise.
Obviously, I second it without speaking. I just want to say, in support of what's being proposed, that people haven't been in post 12 months yet. So in terms of giving an annual report, they haven't had that opportunity. So I think it's very unfair to penalise them on that basis. And I'm sure they will only be too happy to give a report to this council. I agree, it shouldn't be to an advisory body. They are responsible to us and not to an external advisory body. So yeah, I think it's really unfair to penalise them for something they haven't even had the opportunity to do. Thank you.
Anyone else? Are we right? Before we go to the vote on this report, I'm advised that member champions shouldn't vote. Okay. Because of a pecuniary interest.
Point of order. We're all voting on allowances here. We're all in the same position.
I agree with you, Councillor Rawlinson, but in this particular instance, you're talking about reduction in the allowances for the member champions. So I think it would be fair and prudent if those didn't participate.
Just
Mrs. Parmiter, do you want to come in? Who's coming back?
Not
mine. We're proposing that it's not reduced, so there's no change. So, you know.
The report was asking for a reduction, and now you're saying that you want it to stay status quo.
For clarity, it's up to each member whether they decide to do that, isn't it? It is.
That's quite correct. It's up to each member to decide
that's a
whether
member's
they want to vote or whether they don't want to vote. But the advice is, because you're asking for the matter to stay the same, which is different from what's in the report, my advice would be you shouldn't participate.
Right, then are we ready to go to the...
Mr. Mayor, can I just seek clarity that the report that is before you, just clarity from Councillor Rawlinson that you are seeking to move the report, but in terms of paragraph 3.3.2, that the amendment or the alteration you're making is not to reduce the member champion allowance, so that's retained at £900 per annum. Is that correct?
That's correct, and I do have the right reply before.
Thank you.
The mayor forgets.
Any other comments before I bring the proposer, the mover of the report back? Councillor Rawlinson, are you coming? Do you want to come back?
Yeah, there's a serious question here. You know, if the public don't know any elements of what this council is doing, who's to blame when the chair of scrutiny is the one complaining about it? He's in charge of scrutiny. If this council is failing on some aspect of it, they should know about it through him, surely.
Okay, right, hold it. You've had your fun. Let's go to the vote. All those in favour of accepting this report with the alteration to 3.3.2, please show. In favour. Excuse me, there's too much noise in here. Thank you. Yeah, I did. All those against, please show. Thank you. Any abstentions? One abstention. Thank you.
Carried.
It's carried. Item 9 is Councillor Potter. If you need to take a break, go outside. Item 9 is a report on a change of dates for Overview and Scrutiny Management Committee. You better stay for this one, I believe. Councillor Rawlinson, will you be moving this report?
It's a change of date for Overview and Scrutiny Management Committee. Wow. Did I do that? As you said, Mr. Mayor.
Anybody want to speak on this report? Have we got a seconder for the report? Okay, thanks. Councillor Potter seconded it. Do you want to speak about it? Councillor Duke.
Very much, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say thank you to the ONS lead on the Labour group for talking to us about this in advance and checking whether somebody like me who works full time and has primary care of 3 kids could actually accommodate that change. So I just wanted to say thank you for being collaborative and understanding.
Anybody else wish to speak? Councillor Potter. We'll go to the vote. All in favour of this report, please show. Thank you. All against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Carried. Item 10 has now been withdrawn from the agenda. Item 11 is a report on an amendment to Constitution following a corporate restructure 2025. The report was not available at the time the agenda was published. However, I am accepting this report as an urgent item as the Council's Constitution must remain updated to reflect the working practices of the Council. Now, an alteration to this report was published yesterday. Councillor Rawlinson, will you be moving this report?
I'm happy to move it with the changes. Don't ask me about caravan sites because I don't know the answer. But this bit is just about changing the constitution. The practicalities of it, you'll have to speak to the relevant officers.
Have we got a seconder for this report? Councillor Brown, thank you. Do you wish to speak? Anybody else wish to speak on this report? All those in favour of this report, please show. Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Item 12 is notification of changes to the membership of committees. Oh, okay. Councillor Brown, please.
Yeah, we've got a couple, Mr. Mayor. So we need to replace Councillor Henshaw with Councillor Brooks on the planning committee, and also obviously with the ongoing issues concerning Councillor Henshaw in terms of internal party processes. The portfolio will be divided between Councillor Wise, Councillor Rawlinson and Councillor Khan until the annual council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Have we got Guild Committee nominations?
We're not going to. We're going to wait till annual council. It's just a few weeks away.
Councillor Potter?
I will be the Lib Dem representative on the Guild Committee.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'm just nominating myself as Conservative leader for the Guild Committee.
Thank you. Item 13 is the leader's report. Councillor Brown, do you wish to speak on the report, which is for noting only?
Just briefly, just want to, obviously the study's coming out, which we're all welcoming, but there's many things happening within the city I just want to highlight. So there's going to be regeneration projects at Moore Park and Waverley Park beginning very, very soon through the Levelling Up Fund. Trambridge work will recommence later this year. This is something we've all waited for. On Animate, Cosmo and the Mad Giant Food Hall will be opening in the next couple of months. Now, the Mad Giant Food Hall will be wholly independent businesses, something we've been very keen to push. Preston New Zone will open later this year. This is something that Councillor Borrow referred to, former Alderman Borrow is now referred to this morning. That will reopen later this year. And then the Harris Museum will reopen. So obviously that's an £80 million project, of which 71% has been spent with Preston businesses as it's been regenerated. And also working at Mountainous House, which will basically again have independent businesses. That's going to begin later this year. So you put this all together and it's a very sunny climate for Preston, alongside the weather getting a lot better for ourselves as individuals. So it's all positive news. And I just want to reiterate, this is a huge investment programme. We've not seen anything like this for probably 50 years. And it's very positive, and we should all celebrate it and celebrate the jobs and celebrate the people that will benefit. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Item 14 is special urgency decisions, but there are none to report to this meeting.
Councillor Thompson.
What's this about, Councillor Thompson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for asking. I was wanting to comment on the leader's report.
Well, you can email him or talk to him about it, but it's for noting only. So talk to him after.
Really did want to make an issue.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Sit down now. Item 15, the next meeting of the council is the annual meeting, which will take place at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, the 14th of May, in the town hall, beginning with the mayor making. The remainder of the business will then take place on the following day, Thursday, the 15th of May, at 2 p.m. in the town hall. Sorry, I didn't cover item 14. Item 14 is special urgency decisions, but there are none to report to this meeting. Item 16. Now we need to consider passing the following resolution: that the public be excluded from this meeting during consideration of the following items of business on the grounds that there is likely to be disclosure exempt information, which is described in the paragraphs of Schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972, which is specified against the headings to the items, and that in all the circumstances of the case, the public interest in maintaining the exemption outweighs the public interest in disclosing it. Are you all happy to agree the exemption and move to Part B? Show of hands, please, in favour of, yeah. Thank you. I'll have to ask you to leave the gallery, UP.